Good morning and happy Monday. I thought I would join you for a coffee break as I've been doing the past few Mondays. And if you thought last week's t-shirt, last week's polo shirt was bright, then I thought I'd go one step brighter this week. This is my German one. We've been doing the coffee break German magazine today, so getting things ready for that going out later in the week. So I thought I'll go German today. Also, guten Morgen. I hope that you're all well and that you've had the chance to do some language learning over the past week. I have been doing a few things. I've actually been learning some Korean this week. I decided to take a little break from my Norwegian on Duolingo, and I have been learning to read Hangul, which is fascinating. I'm really enjoying that. So I've always wanted to be able to read Korean, so I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. So that's my language learning this week. Now, coming up on Coffee Break this week, we've got quite a lot happening. We have our Coffee Break German magazine. As I said, we've been working on this morning. And that is all about the Großglockner Hochalpenstraße, an Austrian road trip, and you'll enjoy that if you're a German learner. For Italian learners, this week we have also an episode of the magazine which will be about Dante, il padre della lingua italiana, the poet Dante, who really is the father of the Italian language. So you'll find out more about Dante in this week's Coffee Break Italian magazine. We also have our masterclass lessons for the first month, for the first module, are coming to an end on Tuesday with lesson 5. So far in the French masterclass, we've learned about savoir and connaître, aller, emmener and amener, faire and chercher. So those are the 5 main key tricky verbs that we've been focusing on in this first module. And in our Spanish masterclass, we've been doing idiomatic expressions. We've had estar aburrida or aburrido como una ostra, estar reventado, no dar pie con bola, meter la pata, and what's the other one? Ser pan comido. That's one of my favorite ones. Ser pan comido. When you describe something as es pan comido, it's a piece of cake. Literally, it is eaten bread in Spanish. So those are our 5 idiomatic expressions that we've been focusing on in the first module of the masterclass. All, of course, within conversations and dialogues to give you lots of practice. So the lessons finish on Tuesday to give you the chance to consolidate that and then do a little bit of review before you take the test if you're involved in the masterclass. Obviously, our club continues, so French, German, Spanish and Italian clubs will continue this week with Monday listening, Wednesday reading and Friday video lessons. And we are going to be doing some more filming of more video lessons this week, so we're looking forward to that as some of the team come back from their holidays. And we are going to be doing some Spanish and some German filming this coming week. What else? Of course, all our social content. Our social content is ongoing. We have new materials on Facebook on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and obviously on Twitter and on Instagram too. We'll be sharing lots of comments and lots of posts. Now, last week we reached 40,000 followers on Instagram, so we were delighted with that. We created a little video, and I might include that video in this video if I can do that. I'm not quite sure if I can do that, but I'll try to do that. And if that is going to work, then here it is now. Hi everyone, we have just reached 40,000 followers here on Instagram, and we'd like to say a huge thank you to you all for following us and for taking part in everything that we do. Here are some of the team to thank you.
Grazie mille da tutto il team di Coffee Break.
Merci de la part de toute l'équipe.
Ein großes Dankeschön from all the Coffee Break team.
Muchísimas gracias de parte de todo el equipo de Coffee Break Languages.
Moran Tang from the team at Coffee Break.
Muchas gracias, Coffee Breakers.
非常感谢你们。
Grazie mille da tutto il team di Coffee Break.
Merci beaucoup.
Thanks, Coffee Breakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Es demasiado caro.
Today we are recording episode 19 of Coffee Break Italian Season 3.
Today we're going to test your Swedish pronunciation because it is Swedish Meatballs Day.
I'm here with Andrea because we've been doing some Coffee Break German recordings today.
Yes, we were very productive.
Absolutely.
Coffee Break Language Learning Challenge Day 3. Ecco la mia lista della spesa per un buon risotto vegetariano.
From Hachette. and it's so exciting to see the books in the flesh. Our 50 Coffee Break series in French, Italian, Spanish and German. And now, hopefully that worked. Hopefully you were able to see our celebration for our 40,000 followers on Instagram. Now, I'm also having a little bit of a personal celebration today because this is the 18th of July today. And I see this as a special day because 14 years ago in 2008, this was the day I gave up my full-time job to focus completely on developing Coffee Break languages. I had been doing it part-time from 2006, but in 2008, on the 18th of July, I stopped working for the local authority that I was working with on education projects. And so this is my freedom day, if you like, where I was able to focus completely on Coffee Break and have been doing so ever since and thoroughly enjoying it. So yeah, I've got a little bit of a celebration myself today. Now, there's something else that I wanted to share with you, and this is a lovely article I read in the newspaper yesterday or the day before, and it's all about penguins and how penguins have been found to be able to change their accent. So I'm going to read you a little excerpt from this. Research has now found that some penguins are able to adapt their accents to sound more like their friends. European scientists followed African penguins in 3 colonies over 3 years and analysed the vocal calls they made when they become isolated. The more penguins experiences each other's calls, the more similar they became over time. I think this is fantastic that penguins can change their accent. And it made me think a little about my own accent in when I'm speaking English, obviously, but also when I'm speaking in other languages. And I think in Spanish in particular, when I learned Spanish, I learned it at university and then I went to Salamanca, where people say el mejor español de España se habla en Salamanca. The best Spanish in Spain is spoken in Salamanca. And it's a little bit like Oxford English, that kind of idea. But more recently, when we were doing a lot of filming in Andalusia for our High Five Spanish project, which is Spanish for younger learners. So if you're not familiar with that, then you can check it out. I should be able to put a link up here if you want to check out High Five Spanish. But when we were filming High Five Spanish, we spent a lot of time in Andalusia working with families who were there, and the 2 young Spanish speakers who were the stars of the show had very different accents from the accent that I was used to. And I think as we spent more time with them and as I was speaking more to them, over time, your accent does change. And I think the reason for this is that, first of all, you want to kind of assimilate to the different sounds that other people are using. And I think it's quite often a subconscious process because you ultimately want to fit in. And I think it's a very interesting idea where accents change when someone lives somewhere different. If I moved to the States, perhaps I would start to take on a bit of an American accent. Or if I have spent time in the south of France, but if I was spending time in Belgium, perhaps then I would begin to pick up a bit of a Belgian accent. Has this happened to you? Have you found that your accent in your native language has changed? Or have you been used to one particular accent in the language that you're learning? And has that changed as a result of visiting a different place where that language is spoken? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please post them in the comments as ever. If you'd like more videos like this, of course, you can subscribe to our newsletter. Go to coffeebreaklanguages.com/newsletter and you'll get regular videos like this along with the Adventures newsletter that we send out and some language learning tips from me on a regular basis. So I think I'll leave it there. I've got on a little long this morning, but I hope that you have a great week, that you get the chance to do some language learning at some point, that you enjoy all of our content, and as ever, happy coffee breaking.